Hey everybody, it's GauntletX, and welcome back to another early access draft of Bloomburrow. Thanks again to Wizards of the Coast who provided me with this promotional early access account, and without further ado, let's hop into the draft. We've got a sweet squirrel rare this time around, so let's see if we can just get right into that. It's a 3 mana, 3/3 menace. All of your other squirrels have menace, and every time you sack a food, you create a 1/1 squirrel. You can also spend 2 mana and forage, which is a way you can sacrifice food, or you can exile 3 cards from your grave. If you do, you put a +1/+1 counter on each other squirrel you control. So that is super gross. So you can spend 2 mana, sacrifice a food. The first ability will trigger and resolve before you put the counters on the squirrels. So you'll sack the food, you'll get a 1/1, then you'll put a +1/+1 counter on that 1/1 along with every other squirrel. So it's like 2 mana, sack a food, make a 2/2. Card seems absolutely nutty. Pick number 2, we've got a Saver here. This is not going to kill everything, it's only going to kill small stuff, but being able to be a removal spell and give us a food token to sacrifice to Camellia and any other forage cards seems like it's going to be at a premium in the squirrel decks. So I'm going to take the Saver over these solid looking squirrels. The Bonebind Orator is a nice value play late in the game, and the Treetop Sentries is some potential card draw as well, so it's just some more good late game value. But I'm going to grab the early game removal. Gives us some food to forage with. Pick number 3, we've got a Corpseberry Cultivator. This can forage at the beginning of combat every turn. That's going to let us sack a food or exile cards, and every time we do it for any effect, you don't have to forage with its own ability, you'll get a counter onto it, so that seems pretty nice. Alternatively, 2 mana, make your opponent discard a non-land card, or 2 lands. Then if they have a low hand, they lose some life. They keep losing some life. So that's for like a dedicated discard deck. That doesn't seem super playable in draft, although here's another discard card, the Psychic Whirl. I'm just going to take the Corpseberry Cultivator here, but worth noting these lands are pretty nice too. Pick number 4. We have a Dire Sight, very solid card draw spell, Surveil 2, draw 2, and lose 2 life. Probably going to take that here. Ooh, I wish I had some Polywallops in our last deck. I didn't even know this existed. We were a blue-green frogs deck last draft. This would have been awesome in there. Yeah. We're just going to stick to our incredible rare here, keep things nice and simple during the early access event. And here's a Bone Cache Overseer. So whenever we're foraging by sacrificing food tokens, or just sacrificing food tokens to gain life, or just foraging by exiling cards in grave, then we're also drawing cards. This seems awesome for a dedicated squirrel deck, and we are a dedicated squirrel deck. Okay, no squirrel synergy cards this time around, so we'll take the most efficient beater, the Bark Knuckle Boxer, but the Glide Dive duo is nice at the top of the curve too. Pick number 7, there's a squirrel. Nice little Treetop Sentries for some forage value, we'll take it. Pick number 8, here's a Cash Grab. Mill 4, put a permanent from among the cards into your hand, and if you control a squirrel or return a squirrel, get a food token. This is probably playable in exactly a squirrel deck and nothing else really. You really need to care about that food token for it to be particularly worth it. Pick number 9, Persistent Marsh Stalker. That is late. Seems like an awesome rat card for an aggressive rat stack. +1/+0 for each other rat you control, and it's already a 2 mana 3/1. We're so locked in on squirrels though that we just take the squirrel. And now here's the Treetop Sentry. Yeah, I'm not gonna play around with the Starforged Sword. This deck looks awesome already. 1 pack in and it's just all synergy here. I don't think we had a single miss, really. This is a really nice place to start the draft off. We even wheeled the Mudflat Village. These have a very real downside that is worth noting. You cannot get colored mana out of these for your non-creature spells. This only taps for black for creatures. But super good when you're flooding out. Pick up your best creature from grave. It hits all of the main black creature types: bats, lizards, rats, and squirrels in this set. All right, pack 2, pick 1. We've got the bat for the top of our curve. Got a Death Touch token swinger, so that's mainly for rabbit decks. They have the most creature tokens. Druid of the Spade might not be horrible in here because we're going to have food tokens, so it could be a 3-mana 4/3 trample, but this Skunk Assassin, since no matter what we're taking a non-squirrel out of the pack anyway, has the seemingly best abilities. So if your opponent just has big creatures, then you get to trade one of your small creatures up with that destroyer creature that was dealt damage, and if they have small creatures, then you can get that -1/-1 to win a combat against an equally sized creature, or just clear out a 1 toughness card. Seems pretty good. We'll grab the Skunk Assassin. Pack 2, pick 2. We have the Honored Dray Leader, which could be very big, super late in the game, but just on like turn 3, it's not particularly good. Actually, no, it gets bigger when you're playing squirrels and food. It gets bigger if you play the cards after it, or if they're on the board before it. That's actually pretty sweet, but I feel like we have to take Feed the Cycle, because good removal is going to get fought over by everybody, but we might be able to get some good squirrels later. I don't think we're wheeling this, because it's a really, really good squirrel, but we can get more comparable cards than we can like good removal spells like this Feed the Cycle. This is just an excellent removal spell. 3-mana instant, destroy a creature, planeswalker, or exile a few cards or sack a food to do it for only 2 mana. I'm going to take that excellent removal here. Ooh, wow, it's good to be green today. 6 mana for a 6/6 Vigilance Reach, probably, because we'll probably have 6 lands when we play it. And when it enters mill 4, then return all lands from grave to the battlefield tapped. I guess that's not actually that insane. It doesn't have trample or anything, so there's just going to be one really big Vigilant Reach creature. Feed the Cycle genuinely in a super competitive draft environment could be the pick, honestly. So it's just always good, but you can't really get a cooler card at the top of your curve than Lumra, Bellow of the Woods. Pick 4, here's a very good squirrel for us. 2-mana 2/2 that comes with a food token. We've got so many ways to sack the food and so many reasons to want the food. Nice little fight spell here. We'll prey upon, but hopefully we can get some of this better black removal we're seeing instead of using the green removal. Barkform Harvester could be reasonable if we mill ourselves too much. Just make sure we never mill out, but Baker's Bane Duo definitely seems the best for its mana cost. Pick 5, there's that Barkform Harvester again, or the Stargaze is pretty big card draw. For like 5 mana, we put the best 3 cards of the top 6 into our hand and lose 3 life, but it's probably worth it. And it's flexible. We don't have to do it for exactly 5. I just think that's probably about the sweet spot for the amount of mana you're putting into it. Pick 6. Now we'll take the Harvester, I suppose. The other options are some decent non-squirrel cards. Yeah, let's just get the Harvester. Pick 7. Early Winter. 5 mana, kind of a lot, but it's instant speed and it exiles. That seems perfectly fine. I will take the Early Winter. Pick number 8. Some decent frogs for different spots on the curve. I think I'd rather have the 1-drop. Pick 9. Fine Fixing with Uncharted Haven. Or we can try and see if we can get this Druid to be a 3-mana 4/3 trample off of a food token. Go for the Druid here. I'm just going to be a 2-color deck. I'm not really going to take Fixing. Not looking to splash. We already almost have all of our non-land playables. We just get to improve the deck with the 3rd pack, which is an excellent spot to be. Ooh, there we go. Another 2-drop squirrel that can pick up our bomb rare later in the game. Exiling it from grave. Don't mind if I do. Nobody's playing otters in this draft pod. But that's going to be the case. There are 10 2-color pairs and only 8 players in the pod. Okay, pack 3, pick 1. Another Baker's Bane duo is likely the pick. We can crew a Tangle Tumbler with 2 food tokens, though, which is kind of hilarious. I don't know if it's that consistent. This probably comes back? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe the rabbit deck's going to take it because they've got 1/1 rabbits to crew it with. We can probably get the Cultivator or the Tumbler back, one of these two, and we'll try those out, whatever comes back. Duo, I think, is the most important just for where it fits on the curve. It's less replaceable. And those food tokens are real valuable. Ooh, wow, that's a pack. Wow, that's a pack. There's the Dray Leader for just a huge squirrel. Or there's this thingy. Whenever one or more creatures you control die, you get a food token. 2 mana. Whenever you sack a permanent, target player mills 2 cards, and then 3 mana in your end step, you can sack up 3 other non-land permanents. Return a creature from a grave to the battlefield with a finality counter on it. Weird. That's a lot of hoops to jump through and a lot of mana to start doing anything. But it's a big impact later. I'm just going to take the Dray Leader because, I mean, that's just up front. It's just straight up big. It's beef. No matter how you play it, when you draw it, whether you play it after everything else or before everything else, it's just going to be beef. So I'm just going to take it. Another Baker's Bane duo. I'm going to take this thing so highly in my squirrel decks. I'm taking it over Overprotect, which looks like a great combat trick. Also protect from removal and stuff. And I don't know what's going on in the artwork, but it's hilarious, which makes it even more enjoyable. But, well, we are on 18 creatures. This is just the perfect 2-drop, though. Yeah, too bad Overprotect. I'm taking another duo. Pick 4. Frogmite's on Arena now, and it has super cool artwork, so that is sweet for you Affinity players. However, you have to spend Mythic wildcards on it, which is a big bummer for you Affinity players, but hey, at least you got Frogmite. I'm going to take another Skunk here. Downwind Ambusher. Now we take some card draw with the Dire Sight. Ooh, somebody's going to get a late Mythic Rare Dragon thingamabob that looks super strong, but I ain't reading all that when I'm not red. Pick 6. Random Rat Rogue. That's just going to get cut. Pawn Profit is just always good value, but double green and green-black, slightly hard to cast. I mean, I'll take the Pawn Profit over the Intimidator because there's a chance I throw it in the deck, but I think I have better 2-drops with the Baker's Bane duos. I guess they are 2-drops. They're duo drops. Daggerfang duo is another pretty great way to enable your forage cards because you mill 2, so there's 2 cards in your grave, period. And then once this trades into something off of its Death Touch, that's your 3rd card in your graveyard to forage with. We did get the Tumbler back. And the Scavenger's Talent, but as I said before, I think it's just so many hoops to jump through. I'm probably not playing it. I'm not going to play the fight spell, though. We have better interaction. Kind of low on it, but I don't know. Prey Upon, just 1 mana, 2 things fight has not been that great. Oh my god, we got Overprotect back anyway? Now I'm so happy I took the duo, because we got Overprotect anyway. All right, make a few cuts. That's a lot of 3-drops. Let's get the Harvesters out of here. Let's get the Sunshower Druid out of here. Let's get the Bats out of here. Go full synergy. Only a few more cuts to go after that. Where's that bat? Starlit Soothsayer, right? Yeah. Maybe this druid. Love these 2-drops. Love this curve in general. Creature count is now 17. That's basically perfect. Tiny bit high, but good with me. I like to play pretty creature-heavy decks. Worst 3 non-land cards. What are they? Or sorry, non-creature cards. Get on my head. Creating food. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are not good enough at creating food for Tangle Tumbler, because that's about the only token production. Yeah, literally the only token production is the Squirrel Maker and then the foods. So crewing the Tangle Tumbler is super, super hard. So it's just a pretty expensive +1/+1 counter mana sink. We drop that for sure. Honestly, these Orators are going to draw us a card later in the game by recurring our best creature engrave. The Bone Cache Overseer is going to draw us cards as we're foraging. The double Treetop Sentries are going to draw us cards by foraging themselves. I think we have enough value to just not run dedicated card draw like the double Dire Sight. I'll still do the big X mana kind of tutory card draw. We can still keep 1 in here. But I'll ditch those Dire Sights. Just keep the Stargaze and the Cash Grab as our card draw effects. And this looks like a very sweet spot to be. So we'll call it a deck here and get right into the gameplay. Here we are for game 1. Snap Mulligan here. 2 off-color creatures. The only on-color spell is a combat trick with no creatures to actually use it on yet. And this is the opposite, a Snap Keep. I think I ditch a land here actually because I can still duo. Fountain Port Bell from our opponent to grab whatever land they need, put it on top. And they can draw a card off it later. Ooh. I'm going to start with the 3/2 and get some damage in. That is a food token and later game removal. Oh, the Overseer. That's pretty awesome. I think I want to just try to get to a point where I'm casting the sentries and triggering the Overseer in the same turn. So we'll play this like, once I have like my 3rd land, I'll go duo plus Overseer. So if I hit the 4th, then I immediately Treetop Sentries and go crazy. Well, that's a nightmare. Okay, they need a lot of tokens for it, but they have 1 already. Okay, yeah, that's not good at all. They can get mana, draw cards, or put 3 +1/+1 counters on it and give it trample. And they can give the counters turn after turn after turn. Oh, okay. Well, we need one of our removal spells. I'm pretty happy that our removal is mainly the black removal. We've got 2, 1 destroy a creature, 1 exile a creature that would work here. We've got another for like -X/-X, but this thing's already a 7/6 trample. We are getting bombed here. We do get to race a little bit. We've got 7 power on board. Yikes. Wow, the ditching the land has worked terribly. We hit a 3-drop, a 4-drop here. Actually, no, we already had the 4. I think we had a 3 and a 3 as our draws. Okay. Take the black source to play this turn. We might just die next turn, honestly. Somebody's dying real quick. They're at 7, we're at 13, but they've got a 7 power creature on board. They can make it a 10 power trampler if they tap everybody again. This is a close enough game, though, that this could have been decided by that mulligan decision, not keeping the land, just in case. I guess at that point we would have gotten rid of... Probably would have gotten rid of Treetop Sentries as the most expensive card. But maybe get rid of the Daggerfang duo, since if we were keeping the land, it'd be a 3-lander with a 4-drop as the most expensive card. That's not that unreasonable to keep. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously it would have played better keeping the land. I just don't know exactly which we would have chosen to get rid of between the Daggerfang duo and the Treetop Sentries. I think they were both in the hand. I might be wrong. Maybe we drew the Daggerfang. If we drew into Daggerfang, then it would have been get rid of Treetop Sentries. Well, that's dead. Tree Guard duo with all those bunnies. Gross. Oh wait, it's not dead. They didn't give it trample this turn. They gave it vigilance though, so I mean they're not dead. On the crackback. Yeah. I was get Baland bad. Attack with both to force me to lose Bone Cache Overseer here, so we might as well stop 12 instead of killing one bunny. Expending is something. Not enough, though. 3 power creatures, one of which has Indestructible on attacks. Probably play the Death Toucher. But I mean, they make that a 10 power trampler. They trample over the Death Touch here. Big yikes. Yikes from McSpikies. That's a good mill. If we somehow survive long enough to use it. Oh right, they can just blow up our Death Toucher with the stupid pot. So I guess the best play was to just play Treetop Sentry since they just have onboard removal. If we play the Daggerfang duo or the Honored Dray Leader, they just kill it. Send in for trample. They're at 7, leaving 1 blocker up. I will take 11 and pray that I somehow crack back for lethal, but game looks over. We die to a trick. Whoa! Well, they played the second Balin, so that'll do it. 0-1 heading into game 2. Alright, here we are for game 2. It's a really sweet, really quick hand here. The Boxer? I won't be expending those, so it's going to end up trading into the Mascot. Also, does anybody else see this? Does it look like the cards are faded or washed out here, sort of in the middle? Yeah, like, look, this one looks kind of normal-ish, but then this one looks kind of faded. I don't know if that's a visual bug or if that's something's going on with my monitor here. Hopefully it's Arena and not my monitor. I'm going to go for the Duo over the Boxer, because I don't mind just trading that into a Mascot, but if I trade the Boxer into a Mascot, I'm getting rid of it before I can expend. Give it the Indestructible. Ooh, Clement can do some scary things. Every time they play a creature, they can pick up a lower mana value creature, so they can just keep doing all the enter the battlefield effects. So we do want to keep them pressured here to where they don't feel like they can just keep doing that kind of stuff. They have to leave their power toughness on board instead of going for value. Get another Duo. Attack in and ambush or expend is kind of wild. They try to block with Clement, then all of a sudden... Yikes. Hopefully they miss on land, but Clement does give the creature the ability to tap for mana, so turn 4 Lumra. It's pretty dead, and they hit the lands, so I can't do the Skunk combo on Lumra here. The combo is that the duos are going to have expended 4, so they're going to be 3/3s, and then the ambusher is going to make their thing too small. So 3/3 fighting against a 2/2, so we would win that fight. But now we do actually have to trade up. and use the ambusher to eat Lumra. Or they don't block and then we cry. What do we do? Do we hold up ambusher if they don't block, or what do we do here? I think probably just double 2-drop. What is awkward here is that we'll be expending 4 after damage, so I'll be hitting for 1 less than if I played like a pre-combat treetop sentries or something, but I'm getting the opportunity to kill Lumra this way. Shoot. I'm also theoretically losing the opportunity to kill Lumra on blocks, but on blocks against a blue deck is rough. There are like 3 counterspells in this format, common or uncommon. There's 1 common, there's 1 uncommon. Those 2 I know for sure would get us really badly. I've heard there's a 3rd. That one might be rare though. But I know there's a good common counterspell and a good uncommon counterspell that would demolish us trying to skunk on blocks. So I think this was still probably reasonable. Yeah, let's double 2-drop here. I guess I could treetop sentries hoping to top deck removal off of the digging. But they're not gonna block very good. But these are good blocks. I get to block Clement and the mascot this way. And those are both profitable trades. Man, Lumra's so nasty off of mana ramp because it spits out the lands too. So now they have so much mana. On top of the absolute beef stick with vigilance too, so I can't attack in without misskunk. The Water Spout Warden, which attacks as a flyer, however often they want to do that. Theoretically a good draw, but it costs 5 mana, not 4. So, what do I want to do about it? Hold up the skunk for a turn, and if the skunk doesn't work out, hopefully I top deck the land for early winter next turn. That is probably what I want to do about it. It's skunkin' time. Whoa. Okay, at least they can only forge once. But that's a 2-1 and a 3-3, or a 4-3 and a 1-1. Okay, 2-1 and a 3-3 looks like the choice. And this is also going to give their Water Spout Warden flying for the turn. Yeah, that's so good. 4 mana for a 2-1 and a 3-3? That is way above rate. I wish I could afford to skunk that, but I have to hold it up for Lumra there. Well, if they don't attack with Lumra, I think I get to skunk the 2-1 here then. I guess this is a 2-1 with no text at this point. But they could pick it up with Clement whenever they play another spell, and then they can recast it and re-offspring it and stuff. Yeah, no, I'm killing this so they can't bounce it with Clement and stuff. And we're top decking the land and everything's fine and we're golden. Aha, yes. I mean, that straight up flips the board state in our favor now. Life totals are close enough that, yeah, we're just in the lead now. Off the early winter. Alright, let's go. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 power on their board. 14, 11 power. Ambusher down to Mascot is not a particularly good trade. Let's do this. Little more defensive. Still getting a lot of damage in potentially. We're getting solid trades. Alright, solid trades. I'll take those. Traded some temporary 3/3s into a permanent 3/2 and a permanent 3/3. That card is nuts. They can stun one of our cards for a very long time or stun their own card and draw 2 and then immediately pick it up with Clement anyway. That is such a wombo combo. 4 mana, 3/4, draw 2. Very good deal. And they hit their splash color, so even if Mascot dies, they've got the red up for whatever nonsense Otter's coming down. Well, incredible turn for our opponent, but there's another Ambusher, and I really like to see that, because that gives me the opportunity to play the Overseer before I do any foraging with our Treetop Sentries. Oh... do this for Ambusher tricks. There are blocks they can find that are not very good for me here, but most blocks we can randomly get a really good trick going in our favor. I don't think there's any block that's like horrible for me here, unless they have a good spell in their hand. And this block is really good for me if they don't have a spell. Sick. That was a great turn. We got Skunk Team 6 in here. Both of them just putting in work. Now they have access to triple red. 2 mountains and the Mascot. See if they're doing anything with it. 3 cards engraved. Oh no! They are absolutely doing something with it. Exile the top X, they can play them until the end of their next turn, and they can play additional lands here. Oh, those are terrible hits, luckily. 3 lands, a 4th land, basically, and a Hermit. Lucky that they really missed on Hugs, but that's still a 5/5 trample on the board. So, that brings us significantly farther away from lethal here. But I think we're still ahead, even through the draw like 5 that they just cast. Which is surprising. If they have a 5-drop card, they can put Hugs back in hand and draw another 5 or 6 cards later. That would be terrifying. But it would involve them putting Hugs back in hand and having less on board for a turn. So there's a real cost to that, to using Clement to bounce Hugs. Orator? Nah, we're definitely drawing 2 here and seeing where we go from there. Kind of looking for cheap black removal here, so I'm going to hold up the Swamp. I guess I don't have any black 1-drops anyway, but... Alright. I guess it's like if I hit a land off that, and then I also hit like a spell off this. Like the 2-mana black removal, then we could have done it. But we didn't. We did hit the land, though, to play Order. Still works out okay. Okay, if I send in the team, Hugs eats a 4/2 for free. This eats a 4/2. This eats a 2/2 for free. We get 3 damage in, and they only lose the Mascot. That feels absolutely not in our favor at all. So we just play the Order and pass. Night Whirl Hermit has arrived off of the Hugs. And a Water Spout Warden off the natural draws. And then just a land. Draw a card off the bell. Pearl of Wisdom, another draw 2. Well, they've drawn a lot. They only have 11 cards left, and I don't think they did any self-mill. I forgot I can't look at their graveyard in the early access due to a bug. Can't look at their graveyard while they have priority. I don't know why. But I wanted to see if they had any self-mill that was played here. If this was all just straight-up card draw. I think it was just straight-up card draw throughout this game. Yeah, drawing off of that, drawing off of that, drawing from that. And then all the hugs draw was a lot. Ooh. That is a pretty big surprise here. I don't think it's anywhere near lethal, but it's very good. I'm actually going to exile the grave here. I'm not going to pick up a 2/2 if I end up using orders later. But I could get value from eating a food. Hey, Camellia. Ooh. I kind of want to hold off and try to go Camellia and Overprotect in the same turn. Oops, accidentally minimized arena. I'm a land off because I want to spend 3 for this, 2 to sack the food, and put a counter on all the squirrels. And then 2 to Overprotect. I mean, they're at 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One creature gets in for probably like 3 damage. Trample over with a 7 power creature. Could maybe do like 6. You know what? We could still absolutely just stumble into lethal here, so I'm going to go for it. And then I can guaranteed just Camellia sack the food, buff the board, whatever's left. Whether or not I draw land, that's still going to be a good play. And this way I'm not like all in on top decking a land. If I didn't top deck the land next turn and I still had this Overprotect, I'd be pretty sad because I'm pretty sure it would just be Camellia sack the food regardless. Okay, Overprotect on the Ambusher should be lethal here, most likely. 1 damage from lethal? They stumble into the perfect block? I think they found the perfect block. That's 1 damage from lethal. We hit for 2 with Orator and 6 with Ambusher because it's a 7 power creature trampling over for 6. So it's probably better to kill Hugs then and be a little farther from lethal but have a little less when it comes to blockers on their board for the future. Yes, they're at 5 instead of 1, but now they don't have the big 5/5 blocker. That they could try to do some like crazy bounce synergies with or anything like that. Oh, I forgot about the Menace on Camellia. I probably could have just killed them then. Right? Oh no, I think I drew Camellia off Overseer. If this was my first draw for turn, I should have just ran her out and attacked with everybody. The Menace is so big. That's just straight, that's just going to be a kill. For sure. I mean, they could have a counterspell. They are on blue. I'm trying to look at their grave again. They only have 5 cards left. Do they have a Thassa's Oracle? That'd be hilarious. I think they'd get us. They have the devotion to blue they would need to win off of a Thassa's Oracle. Alright. We drew the removal too. I don't have the land for that, though. No, they have the counterspell? Oh, maybe not. They're looking at the board being like, uh-oh. Okay. Give a creature hexproof till end of turn. What is this going to be doing here? Hexproof for Clement. And then counter it unless I pay 4 because that's a bird? No! Oh my god, that's so good. Well, shoot. Alright. If I top deck a land, I can order back Camellia and Caster for Menace on a future turn. What do I do now? I can get them down to 4 blockers. They're at 5, so they can't let the Ambusher in, like, at all. Make them 4 blockers. 2 creatures would get in for, like, 3-ish damage. If I get rid of the 4 toughness blocker, then the Bark Knuckle Boxer has considerably better attacks. Then I send in Ambusher and Boxer. But then I don't get to, like, expend as a trick. But if it's just better to do it this way, then it's just better to do it this way, you know? I think it's just better to do it this way. Could sack the food to the Feed the Cycle to use Overseer. But I think I want to leave it for Camellia, potentially. And I also don't really want to shoot myself more. I'm a little sketched out about crackbacks. At 7 with a flyer on their board. I guess I've got a 2-4 reach. Yeah, I could probably afford to sack the food and then pay the 1 here. And turn the audio down. Oh no, is that an SFX thing going on? Is that ambience? What is that? Oh, one of the sound effects bugged. Which means I have to turn off all the damage sounds right now? I'll turn the... If I remember, I'll turn all the sound effects back on next game. GG from our opponent? Okay, GG. I was like, is that the offensive GG? They get an unblockable swing, go crazy? There's some cards that could do it. There's a 3-mana frog that enters the battlefield, gives something unblockable. If they played that, and also the thing that gives +X for X number of creatures you control, they could do it. Oh, I can't look at the grave after the game either because the bug. That's unfortunate. Oh, what I can do... Well, no, I can't go into the options menu after the game either. Well, I was going to say I can turn the audio on while I remember. But we'll do that next game. We are 1-1 heading into game 3. Alright, there we go. Audio's back. Come on back, SFX. We are against the Ham TV here. Kyle Rose, professional player. I think he's in the Hall of Fame. One of the best limited players of all time. Arguably, so very well known, very, very good player. So I'm terrified, but our curve's great. We are on the draw here. We're not going to have full speed ahead kind of tempo. We've got Order into Dray Leader into Ambusher. And that's kind of a lot. Unfortunately, these are skunks and not scrolls, so no extra counters on the Dray Leader. Oh no, Life Creed Duo, Essence Channeler combo. Rip. So every creature they play puts a counter on that. And it's already out of reach of the -1/-1. This is super bad. Yeah, I mean, that's just a straight up wombo combo. Oh, and then the Intrepid Rabbit. I think this is one of the best commons in the set. I said it earlier, it's probably White's best common. 4 mana for a 3/2 and a 1/1, and you give +1/+1 to 2 different targets or the same target. You spread it out however you want. It's just ridiculous on curve like this. I'm already down to 11. It's also insane with the Life Creed Duo Essence Channeler combo because it's 2 more creatures to get 2 more counters on Channeler. GG, you had the Wombo combo. I'm dead, pretty much. This is where we're at. Play any creature here. And it's all ogre. Alright. Jesus. I technically could have held my whole board up and then lost everybody and still been dying to the 50-50 thing or whatever. I guess I could use the skunk post-combat to do that, but that amount of damage coming in, I think we probably needed to pre-combat it as a 4/2 and kill a 1/1. And now we're forced into a mole. Very bad time, that game, into the start of this one, but this hand is great. It's trying to get to 6 mana, though, so... Feels rough to ditch a land, but the Overseer's so good with these 2 food-providing cards. And if I get rid of Loomer, then there's no point in the 3rd land anyway. I'm still getting rid of it. Nah, I almost lost us a game before, or maybe it did lose us a game before, the hand where we ditched a land. I think it did. I think that was one of our losses. Is we just, like, ditched a land and then hit some high mana value spells. Missed our lands on curve for them. So let's not repeat that. Brightblade Stoat. That is more than good enough to just savor it. Send on in. The first strike lifelink, pretty hard to race. It's a 2/3 now. That is a nasty draw. I don't really want to lose a food before I play this Dray Leader, but I want to attack in here. I'll just play the Dray Leader and pass. It's fine. Cool. I guess I can just save this removal. Down to 11. Let's go ahead and draw a card. I guess I could have sent in the duo and eaten 2 food. That flickers on every bird they play? Sure. Awkwardly, this village does not tap for non-creature spells, so I should not have let auto tap or use double swamp there. I should have used Mudflat Village since we have no creatures in grave anyway. That way we could feed the cycle without sacking a food here. Okay. I was like, wait, does that happen in the end step as well? No, it's just finally the next end step, so it's bringing back the nothing that got exiled. Fair. Well, you know, kill a swan, unless they have a flash bird. They do have a flash bird. Gross. I don't know how many are in the set. That's the only one I've seen, is this Plume Creed Escort. But obviously there's the rare as well. So, I mean, the odds of having that exact uncommon are low, but they did hold up a bunch of mana, so we know they have some kind of instant there. Sucks. Okay, this is just good for me, because I can just Mudflat Village. Although, once again, I should have sent in the Baker's Bane duo. Could because I have the threat of activation there of making it a 3-3. Missing a lot of damage with that duo. Or some profitable trades. Oh god, now we just get demolished for our earlier misplays. Mentor buffs their non-flyer every time they play a flyer to make sure they have just ridiculous blocks for anything I try to do. So now I sit here and die to flyers without breaking through everybody. Potentially. Okay, that's a good draw. I don't think I get rid of the gerbils and just race for it here. Because they only put counters on the non-flyers. This is going to make the duo with 3-3 on attacks. Another one of these escorts would be broken in half. That's just the end of the game. Dazzling Denial, it's also very bad. Okay. Their hand has all the great responses to my nonsense. And the head of the homestead, 3-2 and 2 1-1s. This has gone from theoretically over to functionally over, and we are flooding. Well, made a few misplays, but this deck is super, super premium, and they had the right cards at the right time, and we really didn't. R.I.P. Jeez. So this game could have been a lot closer. Probably could have had them at like maybe even 5, 2-3 damage attacks with the duo. But again, there's such a loss with these final draws here. This board state would still be a thing. Get absolutely crushed in the end game. Jesus. 8 damage still. Lose the Dre leader. Yep. I guess I could have double blocked the 4-5 instead at that point. That is not a draw. Well, that's it. Super disappointing run here, 1-3. I have definitely made some misplays today with some card unfamiliarity in the format. But looking back on those 3 losses, I mean, those were just insane, like magical Christmas Land decks. Our first loss was to the double mythic, the 3-mana 4/3 that could put 3 +1/+1 counters and trample onto it every turn, because we did not draw our removal for it like the Feed the Cycle or the early winter. And then when we finally did kill it, they had a second copy to still crush us, so that was brutal and unstoppable. Then the Ham TV just curved out on us with the best, just busted aggro cards, including a Dream Wombo combo, the gain a life whenever you play a creature, and the get a +1/+1 counter on it whenever you gain a life, following up with 2 cards that made 2 creatures each time to make that thing, god, it was probably like 7 power naturally at the time, not to mention the +1/+1 till end of turn stuff. That one, like, I guess I could have technically still been in the game with, like, no board if I didn't attack at all and went on full chumps and trades for the max I could possibly do, but it was still another guaranteed loss. And that final one as well, definitely played it out a little wrong, but they had all of the counter spells and hexproof tricks and stuff in response to any removal I was going to try to do there to get around the flyers. And they just had a firm lock on that game. Just lost to some incredible decks. Again, I'm a big fan of this deck. I think it looks pretty sweet. The Camellia is huge. The Dre Leader's pretty great as well. We've got some good removal, maybe a little bit light on it. Yeah, I don't think there's anything super wrong with the deck. It's got a great curve. It's got good removal. It's got a great creature to non-creature count. It's got excellent synergy with all this food and this forage. We just ran into insane, just incredible decks from our opponents, like the cream of the crop 7-0 kind of decks, which definitely happens. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.